cover asset-based selling and how we can leverage asset-based selling over cold email and just throughout our entire sales process to make the process of taking a cold lead to closing them 100 times easier throughout the discovery, post discovery, pre discovery, um, on the closing call. Leveraging this system is going to make everything easier. And I'm living proof of it. I'm not the best salesman ever. And I'm able to close at a very high rate, above like 50% right now, um, using this system. And, we're selling fairly decent ticket offers. I mean, between like 3,000 to like $8,000. Nothing crazy, but um, it's a decent sized ticket offer. But yeah, and let's just dive into it. So first, let's cover sales assets. So what is a sales asset? Essentially, sales asset is going to be the main mechanism that we leverage within the system. It's and I have a definition for you. Let me just cover that real quickly. So I actually came up with this definition. So there's not an exact definition to it, but uh, after just thinking about what is the best way to explain what a sales asset is, this was the conclusion I came to. So what I say is it's a leverageable body of work that depicts expertise or proof of concept for a mechanism within an organization. So let me break this down real quick. So a leverageable body of work. So this mean by a body of work I mean a document like this one, a video like this one, um, a presentation, you know, slide deck, anything like that, anything that could be used to depict expertise, like this video, right? So this video, in a way, is a sales asset because it's a leverageable body of work. I could technically send this video to people to show them that this asset based selling system that we use to close at a higher rate, make closing easier, and help us book more meetings. Um, so this is an example of how it depicts expertise, right? And then or proof of concept. So that would be showing off a case study, how you help someone else. Let's say for cold email, for example, how we helped another company generate 20 meetings a month. That'd be an example of that for a mechanism within an organization. So this could just be your offer in general. So let's say, for example, this document, the mechanism within our organization, our company that we're covering here is asset based selling, right? So this, I mean, you can already see here, this video alone is a pretty good example of that. But again, so a leverageable body of work that depicts expertise or proof of concept for a mechanism within an organization. There you have it. So yeah, obviously sales assets are assets that can be leveraged to make the sale conversion easier, right? So let's say I'm trying to sell someone on this concept. Sending them this video is going to push them further into wanting to implement this system within their business, right? Because I go into thorough detail, I show expertise in why this works. I even came with a definition here on how this works, so you get the gist of it, right? But yeah, the reason why this method is going to be really important going to 2024, or just in 2023 right now in general, is because you could say that almost every market is saturated to some sort of extent, right? So we need to create leverage in another vertical other than just like ramming cold emails into people's inboxes and just hoping for the best, asking for these meetings. We need to add a layer of leverage that creates or puts you as a unique competitor in the space for your offer, your particular offer, right? So, for example, um, let's do UGC instead of cold email. So let's say you have a UGC offer and you're sending cold emails and you're sending it to e-commerce brands, right? Everyone's saying, oh, we'll help you cut your CPA by 50%, blah, blah, blah. And then asking like, hey, let's hop on a meeting and discuss how we can do that for you. It's the most basic thing ever, right? You're the same as everyone else. The way you can separate yourself in this situation, right, is by creating a sales asset that covers, let's say, the UGC framework or like the storyboarding framework that you use to help another brand, generate a million views or 100 million views, whatever. That'd be a great example because that in that specific scenario, you have something that other companies don't have. you have a specific result that you generated and a specific strategy that you used to generate that result. And if that company is a similar company to the person you're reaching out to, that adds the extra layer of relevancy, which further adds leverage to the sales asset, if that makes sense, right? So that just gives you a lot of um, standing power in the inbox versus other people who are just asking for meetings, not really providing any value, not really leading with anything that shows that they're an expert anyway. They're just showing that they're the same as everyone else. So that's an example there. It's only going to help amplify your offer having sales assets. You can throw them on your website. You can just use them in content, whatever. Just having as many bodies of work as possible covering your thesis on your offer is not going to hurt you at all, right? It's going to only give you more leverage and just show, like, as you expand your body of work, people are going to catch on to that. They're going to see that, okay, these guys have done a lot, and they're going to really appreciate that, right? Like for us, we have this massive document here. I'm going to release the full thing soon, but this is just one part of the document, right? And this is a massive body of work that covers our entire strategy. Super thorough. It covers everything. You could literally take this document and start your own lead gen agency with it if you wanted to. But the goal is to show, is that obviously to not sell a course or just have them go off and build their own lead gen agency. It's to show them that we've gone to thorough detail in every single little part of our business and have extrapolated upon that, very thoroughly to show we're an expert in the field and how we've exactly generated results with our system. That makes sense. But yeah, so like, you can't just, if you have an email marketing offer, you can't just rip, we'll increase your Klaviyo revenue by 30% in 90 days and just expect a meeting. That doesn't work anymore. You need to create something that makes you different. But anyways, let's dive into it. So I got about a 7-step process here that we'll dive into. And first off, we'll start with the actual creation of the sales asset. So yeah, you can build sales assets around, case studies, service breakdowns, roadmaps, videos, processes, etc. Whatever, essentially just like any sort of presentation to depict the expertise and proof of concept. That's all you need to do is just show them that you know what you're talking about and you've done it before properly. And then again, the example, I have this document, it's about 78 pages, covers everything step by step, how we built the cold email infrastructure, why it brings results, and proof of the same system generating results for other people similar to them. It doesn't have to be that long. It can be short. It can be long. You can split test between the two. Um, in general, the shorter sales assets, they are like the odds of the prospect viewing them and going through the entire thing is obviously a lot higher than someone going through a 78-page document. The thing is, the psychology behind the super long document, like I doubt for any of the prospects we've actually sent the entire document to, I doubt any of them have actually read the entire thing word for word. The goal is to show them here that our process takes a lot of work and they're not going to want to do all that work. So it'd just be best that they hire us to do it for them, right? That's sort of the goal. So that's where the longer sales assets work well. They typically do a better job of selling the prospect on the offer versus just a short one. But the short ones typically they do well at just like converting to meetings and just getting that initial interest within the offer. Um, but yeah, so you can create one solid sales asset like this one, just like a really big document that can just kind of just covers the entire market, or you can create more sniper pinpoint ones to specific niches. Let's say you're targeting ecom brands and you have a case study specific to clothing brands, and you have like a UGC strategy specific to working with clothing brands. You can create a sales asset specifically around that, and that would work well because it's extra relevant. It's not just completely general. Yeah, and so it's more pinpointed. So they're gonna typically be a bit more interested rather than it just being a general sales asset. But both works. Just test them out, create a bunch of them, see how it works for you. And how we're going to leverage these assets with cold email or just outbound in general. Um, this doesn't just apply with cold email. You can do this in like Facebook DMs, LinkedIn ads. You can't even run like Twitter ads on this. Funneling into this document. That's something that we might try soon. You can do it any sort of way, any sort of outbound channel. You could run this. But yeah, so with our cold email scripts, the entire idea is to first get the sales asset into the hands of the prospect. That is the goal. So we want to always have a CTA where we're saying, can I share the document covering how we achieved Y with Z? So in this case, with this document, we say, mind if I share the 78-page document covering our cold email infrastructure strategy we use to generate, 100 meetings in X amount of months for Y or Z client. You get it. So just create your own variation of this. But the goal is to funnel them into being interested into seeing the document. And then from there, actually, I'll dive into that soon. But from there, obviously, we go for a call. So yeah, you want to get creative with it. You don't just copy this exact thing. You can switch up the script. However, you can lead the like one of the best emails that's ever worked for me is a 1-line cold email, just offering the sales asset, basically just saying, like, hey name, can I share this document covering how we helped X client do Y and Z time? That's literally the full email. And then when they say yes, we send it over and we pitch a time. But yeah, let's say you create a sales asset specifically or for a specific niche. What you want to do is lead with that niche in mind, right? So let's say you build a list of cosmetic brands in the UK specifically. If you have a sales asset specific to a UK based cosmetic brand that you helped with TikTok ads, that's gonna be huge. You want to lead with that. So you're gonna say like, hey, I created a document showing how we recently helped another UK based cosmetic brand with our TikTok ad strategy, and share that with them. That's super. Yeah, it's like, and think about it from the prospect's perspective. It's like, what did they have to lose to see that? It's super relevant, specific to them. So like, why would they say no? Might as well just see it. What do they have to lose, right? And in today's market, since everyone like these prospects are receiving hundreds of emails per day, the goal is just to get the foot in the door first. It's not to go for the call immediately, because everyone's just saying no, no, no. People are tired of the spam. The ESPs are cracking down on the spam because there's so much of it. So our goal right now is just to get our foot in the door, and then from there we can nurture them into a meeting, right? So in this plays that perfectly, right? We're leading with value. We're not expecting anything in return, even though in the back of our minds the goal is to book a meeting. But in the initial email, we're not asking for anything. We're just saying, do you want this piece of value that I have for you? That's it. All right, now once we send the sales asset to the prospect, this is where we go for the kill. This is where we go for the meeting, right? So it's pretty simple. I mean, in the reply, basically say something like, hey name, thanks for replying. Here's the sales asset that covers X, Y, and Z. Just add a link to it or attach it to the email if it's a PDF. And then under that, you want to say, you found this useful, or if you'd like to do similar for your business, available on X or Y at time. So like available on Monday or Tuesday at 3 p.m. EST. No once we so once we set the sales asset, just kind of add some brain fog. The prospect, there's gonna be two things that happen. So the prospect will either immediately respond with interest for a meeting or object. So they'll just be like, no, I'm good, or they'll be interested in meeting, or they'll have some extra questions, whatever. Or the prospect will just go ghost, which this is going to happen about 70% of the time, is the prospect will just go ghost, right? So what we want to do is we need to have really solid follow-up systems in place. So what we can do is we can follow up with other sales assets. So let's say you create some more. So think about it like this. If you're the prospect and you respond to this guy and he sends a sales asset, but you kind of just you check it out and you sort of just forget to respond back to him. And then weeks go by, the same guy he sends you more and more and more and more in value. Like the follow up, he's just sending more sales assets. Maybe sends you a video, all this stuff. He's gonna click on that conversation. He's gonna see that chain of emails, and he's just gonna see like, okay, this guy sent me a video, like a Loom video, like multiple documents covering how their strategy works. All this stuff, like these guys sent so much value. It's like you're gonna have so much leverage over all these other prospects in their inbox. So just because the guy or the prospect doesn't book a meeting right off the bat, you want to continue with the follow up, right? You don't want to just give up on the prospect. Because the thing is, a lot of the time, the prospect's just going to check out the sales asset, and then like Susan's going to like tap on his shoulder and be like, "Hey, you need help me out with this," and he's going to leave his desk and then go do something else, right? You have to remember these people are very busy, and especially with how many emails they're receiving, emails will just get lost, right? Even for ourselves, like, or for myself, I forget, or I get emails and I forget to respond to them sometimes, just because it gets buried. Like I don't even see it anymore. Um, so yeah, just to continue follow up and just hit them on the right timing. But yeah, you want to follow with sales assets. Always make sure you're pitching for times. But yeah, the goal is just to get them to view at least the initial sales asset, or at least one of the sales assets, but ideally like the initial sales asset you send them, right? That's the goal. But yeah, you want to follow up until you get a confirmed yes or no. Unless if like you realize the lead is not that high quality, or it's not that high value, then you don't have to. But if it's like a really good lead, you want to just basically follow up until infinity. But yeah, persistence is absolutely key with the strategy. And then the post booking funnel. So let's say you replied with the sales asset, you pitch the time, and the guy wants to hop on a meeting. So once they hop on a meeting and book a call, once they book a call, what you want to do is you want to go to Calendly, and I'm not going to show exactly how to do this in this video, but it's very simple. You go to Calendly and go to the workflows and set up a redirect to where it'll redirect to case studies and VSLs to keep them hot for the call. We're dealing with cold email. It's absolutely crucial to keep the prospects warm and engaged, right? Because you just reached out to this prospect. This person didn't even know you existed in this world, and now you're expecting them to get on a meeting and potentially pitch them to send you thousands of dollars over the internet, right? So they have every they have every excuse in their mind to get contemplative and end up just not wanting to show up to the meeting. So we need to basically just really like kind of aggressively follow up with them to make sure they hop on that meeting and continue to send them, other case studies, videos, things like that to just keep them in the loop with your offering and your funnel in general. But yeah, so we need to make sure to keep them warm. So ensuring you have like a post booking funnel with Calendly is going to be huge. So you want to set up, let's say, when they book immediately, have them redirect to a video. Then let's say 24 hours before the call, you send them some case studies and just like a reminder saying like, hey, the call is in 24 hours. And then have them like 12 hours before, 2 hours before, and then like 5 minutes before, just to make sure. If they can't make it, then they can reschedule, or just to remind them that there is a meeting, right? So yeah. And then the discovery process. So with cold email in particular, since this is cold, this is selling cold leads is a lot different than selling on inbound leads or people from ads. It's a lot different. It's definitely more difficult, right? So we always want to push for the 2 call close, because the first call is to really just first, you need to qualify them, right? You need to actually make sure they're qualified. So to catch the vibe, make sure you even want to work with them, right? You don't want to work with a bad client. And just sort of walk them through the initial discovery phase. However, your discovery calls are set up, you can, if it's working well with you, you can stick with that. But yeah, unless the prospect's literally begging you to pay on the call, like they're begging you and you know they're qualified, then of course send the invoice and get that done. But even if they seem like really down, I still push for a second call. And the reason why I would do this, I'll cover this soon. But um, there's a particular strategy we use to basically ensure the close. Like if they run through this full process that I'm about to cover, the odds of them closing is extremely high. But yeah, so basically just want to qualify, give a brief general explanation of our service. What we have is we have a small, like, how do you say it? It's just like a one pager basically. And it's like a flow chart just covering the timeline of like the first 90 days of our service and how everything works, the general setup. Something very short. It's like a 5 minute presentation if we're in the call. That works well for me because it adds structure to the call. For myself, as someone who's pretty unstructured in calls in general, that works well. But yeah, again, if you have a good discovery process that's working well with you, then just stick with that. But this is the first part of the sort of nail in the coffin to the close. So we want to do something called hooking the prospect for the sale. And the way we hook the prospect is first after the discovery call, at the end of the call, once you've qualified them, you've given a brief explanation of how the service works, time frame, all that stuff. We want to first tell them that you're going to film a personalized strategy video, which is this is huge. This is huge. Because what this is going to do, this is going to build incentive to want to hop on another call and continue the conversation further, right? Because now you're creating something very valuable that's specific to them. Um, and at this point, you can tell they're still interested and they're qualified. They're going to want to see this, right? Then two, we want to schedule them and confirm on the call a follow up call, right? So we want to make sure that we want to choose a specific time and date, confirm it on the call, literally book it on the call, make sure they got the invite, all that stuff in the discovery call. So to guarantee that they're going to show. Well, I mean, obviously they might reschedule last second, but we want to get them to confirm on the call. They're down for a second call. Then third, this is a power move. This is an absolute power move. Is inviting them to your Slack channel or whatever communication channel. If you use like WhatsApp, get their number. Whatever you use, Google Chat, like just whatever it is, invite them to your communications channel. For us, we use Slack. That's what most people use. But yeah, having them in your sort of ecosystem like this is going to be huge, and it's like that's going to be a very high leverage channel to follow up with them on. Like obviously, Slack is a lot more exclusive than following up an email, right? That's when we get them in there. But if you do all three of these, you got them on the hook. Now it's just a matter of reeling them in, right? So yeah, odds of them booking follow up in the call and adding to your Slack, it's almost zero. I've never had someone not show to the call if I booked a follow up and got them on our Slack channel. It's never happened before. They always show up. Yeah, and the close is basically inevitable. Like, is there? Yeah, honestly, I think we've closed every time we've gotten someone to book a follow up and get in our Slack channel. We've closed them every single time. The one that has friction is asking them to join your Slack channel. Some people don't like Slack. Some people don't use Slack. Some people are just like kind of just opposed to it because it is, it's like they kind of know in the back of their head. It's like if you're already adding them to your Slack channel, they know it's like you guys are probably gonna work together. So, but yeah, if you do get them in your Slack and you book the follow up call, they're very likely going to close. But there's one last thing. This is going to be the nail in the coffin. This is going to be the final reeling in of the lead. It's the personalized strategy video, and let's cover how we do this. Yeah. So as I said, this is the nail in the coffin. So what we're going to do is we're going to film a Loom video explaining your entire fulfillment process. So covering something like this document, which I'm not going to show the full thing right now, but it covers our entire fulfillment process basically. And then also giving an exclusive look into other successful client accounts and bonus points if they're specifically in the same niche, right? So let's say if you run the UGC agency, you give a live look into like their TikTok account or TikTok ads account, whatever, for another client that's in like the clothing niche. That'd be huge. And then also breaking down your entire fulfillment process in the video. Like if you do that and they're in your Slack channel and you book the second call and they watch the video before the second call, like it's basically a done deal. If you, at least as long as you film the video right. If you just sound like a bumbling idiot, then it might not work out so well. But yeah, so this is where creating a longer sales asset like this one comes really handy because, like for example, for our cold email campaigns, we offer this document, and then we also use the same document when we film this personalized strategy video for the prospects before they close. So repurposable, um, and yeah, it's just super useful. Like it gets the initial interest, but then it also closes the deal. Like it's crazy. So that's why I'm so adamant on this strategy, like this asset based selling strategy, because it works so well and it doesn't require you to have some sort of special words or like sales tactics to come in your mouth um, on these calls. You just let the assets sell for you, basically. But yeah, yeah. So I film a video covering the 78-page document. I hop into other Smart Lead accounts, so like that's the software we use for sending cold emails, and I show them little word for word scripts and meetings we book for them. I'll show them the conversations. I'll show them everything. The goal here is thorough detail of the fulfillment process and complete transparency on what's working for other clients, right? Because then that makes this an absolute no-brainer to work with. Because we've shown them exactly how our entire system works, and then we've shown them exactly what's working for clients in real time. It's like, why would they not work with us if they are the same ICP? Like, it's a done deal. It's literally a done deal if they watch the video, right? Yeah, so we have like 80% close rate on prospects that actually watch the video in full and hop on the second call. It's just a no-brainer. So yeah, as you can see here, FB ads, Klaviyo, just hop into the manager accounts and show. As long as there's no like NDA issues, right? Then you can do that. But yeah, this has by far been the biggest lever we've pulled in our sales process of closing with dealers. It's just crazy, and we've gotten compliments from clients saying like it was very convincing. The video was really good, super thorough. So yeah, we gotten live feedback from our clients that we work with now, um, that the stuff works. So guarantee you will not regret doing this. Now let's talk about closing. All right, so closing. So before anything, you need to ask the prospect if they had a chance to watch the video or not. Make sure they watch the video before you proceed with the second call. We've had times where the prospect didn't have time to watch the video because it's typically a longer video. It's between like 20 and 40 minutes, so it does take a bit of their time out of the day. In that case, when they haven't watched the video, unless if they're ready to just pay, they're like, we're down. Let's get this started. If they say that, if they just lead with that immediately, then we'll just go. But otherwise, if they haven't watched the video, just reschedule for the next day and just be like, no worries. Just take some time to watch the video, and we'll hop on this call later tomorrow, right? But if they have watched the video, at this point, just ask them like, hey, what do you think of the video? Answer if they have any final objections. Ask them if they have any questions, and then just ask them like, hey, when are you looking to get started? I mean, obviously, most people, if you have your own closing process, go with that. But that's basically what we do. No pressure. Yeah, and then if they say when we ask them when we're looking to start, they're saying like, start now or tomorrow. like they're they just want to get started, right? Because at this point, the sales assets have done the selling, right? Our process has done the selling for us. Most of the objections and questions that they have been answered by the thorough detail we've gone through on every part of our process, right? So typically, they don't really have many questions. The main objections would be pricing related, right? Which you can negotiate on your own behalf. If they're really trying to penny pinch, then obviously you don't have to close on them, but you can do as you please. Otherwise, if they say they're ready, then send over the invoice and just piff, easy, easy as. But yeah, the reason why this works so well is because nowadays, especially over cold email, right? A lot of people they kind of just ask and don't really want to give forward first, right? With our approach, we're giving we're providing value first. We're giving them a reason to give attention to us before asking for anything, right? Rather than taking their attention and then asking them for something, we're actually doing the reverse. We're providing something to them and then asking for their attention after that. If that makes sense. Yeah, like we're not doing this typical doctor style framework like every high ticket salesman guru does that. We're not trying to hard sell. We're not being vague at all. We're just genuinely trying to see like does it even make sense to work together? We give a thorough explanation of the entire fulfillment process so there's no confusion at all. And then we give full transparency of client results through live look on client accounts. Very few B2B companies are operating like this with like this frame of honesty and transparency with clients, which is why it works so well. Like that's the biggest compliment that we get on sales calls or just from clients in general is how it never felt like we're pushing them, we're rushing them to like get the sale. We're just like, it's your decision. But we laid out on the car, we've laid out everything on the table. If this makes sense, which we think it makes sense, then let's do it. Otherwise, it's whatever. I mean, we have our own clients. It's no worry. We're not desperate for anything, right? So yeah, we got a zig while or zag. So